When I was 18, my mother destroyed my mid-acceptance letter in front of me. I'm 47 now. Last year, I paid for my niece's college education. Between those two moments, I learned 7 things about resilience, family, and money that I wish someone had told me. That's what this video is about. Framing. Before I get into the lessons, let me give you the 30-second version of the story. I was a first-generation student, got into MIT engineering. My mother, who came from a culture where the children stay close, panicked. She tore the letter. I didn't go. 7 years of working, night school, rebuilding. And then my niece Amara came into the picture, brilliant kid. And I realized I had a choice, pass the wound forward or spend it as fuel. I chose fuel. Here are the 7 things I learned. Other people's fear is not your ceiling. My mother wasn't trying to hurt me. She was terrified. Fear does not announce itself as fear. It shows up dressed as protection, as love, as I know what's best for you. Learning to separate someone's fear from your potential is one of the hardest and most important things you will ever do. Because the people who love you most are often the ones most afraid of what you're capable of. Their ceiling is not your ceiling. Let them have their fear. Walk through the door anyway. Grief about a lost opportunity is legitimate, but has an expiration date. I grieved mid for years. I want to be honest about that. It would have changed my path in real ways. That loss was real. But I noticed somewhere around year 5 that the grief had shifted from something I was processing to something I was using as a reason to stay stuck, as a story that explained why I couldn't do more. The grief was legitimate. The way I was using it had become a habit. Those are 2 different things. When grief becomes your identity, it's time to renegotiate. You can get where you're going from more than one road. He didn't go to knit. I went to community college and transferred. The degree I got doesn't say MIT on it. My career doesn't care. I want to be careful here because I'm not saying credentials don't matter. They do, and they matter more in some fields than others. What I'm saying is that I spent years treating MIT as the road when it was a road. And there were others. If you're holding a torn letter right now, metaphorically or literally, the question is not how to get the exact thing that was taken from you. The question is, what were you actually going toward? Chase that, not the specific vehicle. Generational healing is not a conversation. It's a series of choice. People talk about breaking cycles like it happens in a moment. It doesn't. It happens in Tuesday afternoons at kitchen tables helping your niece with math homework. It happens in showing up to soccer games, in starting a savings account, in having 100 small conversations about what's possible. The cycle doesn't break in a dramatic confrontation. It breaks quietly, over time, through sustained, boring, and glamorous commitment to doing the next thing differently. Invest in the next one. This is practical advice. If you came from a family where resources, money, information, emotional support were scarce, there is almost certainly a kid somewhere in your orbit who is the next you. Find them, invest in them, not because it will heal you, it might not, but because the point was never just you. The point was always the door staying open. I couldn't go through it at 18. I made sure Amara could go through it at 17. That's enough. That's more than enough. Forgiveness is not a feeling. It's a decision. Remake did not forgive my mother in a single moment. I forgave her roughly 700 times over 9 years, in small increments, in quiet moments. Some mornings I woke up and the anger was back. And I'd have to make the decision again. This is normal. This is what forgiveness actually looks like. Anyone who tells you forgiveness is something that happens to you is selling something. It's something you do, repeatedly. Until one day you notice the weight is mostly gone. The story you tell about your wound determines what you built. There are 2 ways to carry what happened to me. Version A, I was a kid with potential, and someone took it from me, and everything that followed is smaller than it should have been. That story produces resentment. It produces a person who is always looking backward. Version B, something hard happened, I rebuilt anyway, and somewhere in the rebuilding I found what I actually cared about, which turned out to be people, not prestige. That story produces Amara's college fund. It produces this video, same facts, different story. Radically different outcomes, you get to choose which story you tell. Those are the 7 lessons. One more thing before I go, because I think it matters. My mother sat at Amara's send-off dinner last August. She watched me pass the envelope. She said, "You're a good man." I don't know if she connected it. I think on some level she did. I'm not sharing that because it wrapped up neatly. I'm sharing it because the person who hurt you the most is often someone who is also trying, in their broken way, to love you. Holding both of those truths at once is advanced human work. But it's worth doing. If this story meant something to you, hit subscribe. And go invest in the next one. I'll see you.